In January 2021, James Harden and Kevin Durant were united once again. This time they replaced Russell Westbrook with Kyrie Irving. They added a few more additions like Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge to the roster, and everyone's eyes were on the Nets. This would appear to be another dream team. With that kind of talent as a big three, it would be understandable if you were led to believe that a scoring barrage was just around the corner and that dominance was inevitable. But, much like other supposed super teams before them, it just didn't work. Kyrie had some drama, there were some injuries, Durant held his own, but it just didn't play out like everyone had thought. Well, at least from first glance. If you dig a little deeper, however, you'll find that when Kyrie, Durant, and Harden were actually on the court together, they only lost 3 out of those 16 games. This isn't enough to give us a big picture of what they could have been, since 16 games isn't exactly great data to make a statement, but it certainly is enough to make you wonder and wish what could have been. Either way, what has happened leads us to even more questions and assumptions. The trade deadline ended and Harden has been shipped off to join Joel Embiid and the 76ers. Embiid has been going off this season and doing typical Embiid things. The 76ers are 5th overall in the Eastern Conference, and Embiid and Giannis are battling for 1st overall in offensive leaders. When Harden is in the shadows of Durant, he doesn't get the freedom he's been used to and doesn't shine as we are normally used to seeing. Not to mention he's been injury-stricken. On the other hand, the Nets killed 3 birds with 1 stone, swapping Harden for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond. The media has made this seem like a 1-for-1 trade, almost as if Harden is only being swapped for Simmons. It's difficult to get 2018 MVP Harden and playoff self-destructive Ben Simmons out of your brain. This kind of trade seems ridiculous on the surface, but who really came out on top in this trade? We can only speculate, but the trade is probably a little more even and fair than it appears when you think about it a little more and dig deeper. Oddly enough, the 76ers didn't need much help on the perimeter. They had a good solid shooting squad that includes Danny Green and Seth Curry. They don't have problems working inside and out with the massive presence of Embiid and Drummond working in the paint. So why add Harden? Why change anything? In our opinion, the only reason we see this trade benefiting the 76ers is not from what they gained, but from what they gave away. Getting rid of Ben Simmons may just be the entire reason for this move. At first, the Simmons drama just appeared to be the media looking for a story. He's been labeled as toxic, lazy, and immature. As a player, he has a lot of potential. You could potentially compare his size and athleticism to Tracy McGrady, but that's really where the comparison stops. His shooting has been what is most criticized about his game. Now, there are many players in the league who have been below average shooters. Even Kawhi Leonard had to make major adjustments to his shot when first entering the league. So the critique isn't necessarily on shooting. It's the lack of effort to change and the attitude about his weakness that have really given him a bad reputation. As childish and as disruptive his personality is portrayed, we still don't fully know what happens behind closed doors. However, this trade is a big indicator of what happens to be a bad relationship. The Nets have actually come out and have defended Simmons' actions, putting the blame on the 76ers organization for failing to give Simmons the proper environment to thrive. Sounds a little like Dennis Rodman. Maybe the Nets are willing to look past the drama and know a little more information about the situation, that they trust Ben Simmons to not bring his supposed baggage to Brooklyn. The trade really seems to be centered around Simmons, but who ended up on top? Did the 76ers, in attempts to get rid of him, give too much if parting ways with Curry and Drummond in the process? Or is a healthy Harden combined with Kyrie and Durant a threat that the rest of the NBA is lucky to be spared from? And in turn, are the 76ers the ones who can now breathe knowing that they have a former MVP scoring legend? Here's our final thoughts, opinion, and conclusion on who wins in this trade. The value of the trade is dependent on 2 things. Can Harden stay healthy? And is Ben Simmons as toxic to a team as people claim? Let's examine the first. James Harden is a deadly player. 2018 was absolute proof of what he is capable of. His biggest criticism and probably biggest downfall of his career was the last 2 games they lost in the conference championship to the Warriors that same year. The Rockets were a win by or die by the 3 types of teams that year, and it was usually win by. But in Game 7 against Durant and the Warriors, they missed 27 straight 3-pointers. Let me say that again, 27 consecutive 3-pointers. They lost by 9 points that game. If just a small percentage of those shots went in, the Rockets would have defeated the seemingly unstoppable Warriors, who went on to win the championship. The majority of people hold this against Harden because Chris Paul was out the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. Thus, the conclusion was that Harden wasn't good enough on his own and was only good because of CP3. But all it would have taken was 5 of the 27 missed 3-pointers to go down, and who knows, maybe Harden would have had his ring along with a little bit more respect, but that's not what happened. We can speculate all we want, but what we can take away from Harden's 2018 season is that he is a top-tier player in the league with the potential capability to take a team to greatness. If he can stay healthy, and if his play flows well with Embiid, the 76ers are in great hands. Now, let's see what the Nets have to work with. Seth Curry has the second highest 3-point shooting percentage only after Steve Kerr. His shooting ability has been swallowed up by the spotlight of his brother. He's currently averaging 15 points a game and is shooting at almost 50% field goal percentage. Obviously, he's not as valuable as Steph, but when you hold him up to the other guys in the league, in this same situation, he holds his own as a player. These under-the-radar, high-value players are the backbone of NBA championships. They're the offensive line of basketball. Harden and Durant both take a high amount of shots per game, and rightfully so. But with the addition of an accurate shooter on the Nets roster, Durant's value will probably rise as he'll be able to solely focus on himself as the lead role. And if he's surrounded by great complementary players that can hit shots when they need to, it adds to the Brooklyn's value even more. This is a very similar situation to what happened with him and the Warriors, except Kyrie is the new Curry and Seth is the new Klay. We know Kyrie has the ability to complement, so the addition of Seth Curry seems to highly benefit the Nets even with Harden sent away. Then you get the benefit of Andre Drummond. Drummond is a rebounder and defender. With the height disadvantage defensively of both Patty Mills and Seth Curry on the court, there is a massive necessity for someone to hound the boards. Drummond will more than likely replace what Aldridge is lacking. A lineup with Seth, Durant, Kyrie, Drummond, and Griffin is nasty on paper, and there's going to be help from the bench as well when these guys need a break. So now the question truly lies in how toxic is Ben Simmons to a team? In all honesty, Simmons is on thin ice. The Nets appear to be fighting for him. But rest assured, if his attitude starts to backfire, the Nets will have no problem firing back. There are some seasoned players on the Nets that can block out drama if it gets brought to their attention. We really don't see the Ben Simmons problems affecting how well the Nets can play basketball. In conclusion, if Harden can stay healthy, he will certainly be a valuable asset to the 76ers. And with Ben Simmons out of the picture, giving up Seth and Drummond to rid themselves of Simmons was enough to benefit what they additionally had to give up. On the other hand, we don't see the Nets losing out in this situation either. Simmons won't be able to influence the Nets the way that he appeared to with the 76ers. With the loss of Harden comes some breathing room for Durant to run the offense. The additions of Seth's shooting and Drummond's rebounding are fantastic additions that are only going to make the team as a whole better. It was a great trade that benefited both teams, which is why it happened in the first place. NBA managers aren't just stupid people making rash decisions. They clearly know how to weigh their options and attempt to make moves based on what they think is best for the team. In this situation, the Nets probably come out on top as far as the value they added to their team, and it's up to Harden to prove us wrong. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts about this situation in the comment section below. Peace.